¿Qué tal, amigos de Redtox? Estamos en la segunda parte en la que Mark nos contará cuando fue mordido por una serpiente. Hey Mark, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
We know that you have been bitten several times, but tell us the worst time.
Well, my worst bite was a canebrake rattlesnake, but that was in captivity, and although I did actually nearly die in the ambulance, that's not really the bite under the most difficult circumstances. So I'll tell you about my first rattlesnake bite. In 1987, 1988,
Okay.
I was working in Roraima, it was a territory of Roraima, in Brazil, for the Royal Geographical Society on a big ecological project called Projeto Maracá, along with scientists from Instituto Nacional de Pesquisas da Amazônica, INPA, in Manaus, and people from the Secretaria del Medio Ambiente, SEMA. Now, I spent 7 months on that project doing a survey of the reptiles and amphibians, and I caught quite a few rattlesnakes, cascabel.
Cascabel.
I caught 3 of them with a hat. Well, not this hat, but a hat. Just drop them over and then
Okay.
flick it until they catch them. But anyway,
Okay.
I was back in those days. We did not have these.
Yes.
We also didn't have iPads. We also didn't have sat phones. We also didn't have the internet.
There was no technology
It was
at all.
like the Stone Age. But there was a certain... there was something about doing expeditions then when you couldn't communicate as easily with the outside world. But that nearly came back to bite me in the proverbial, because we used to use shortwave radios, and we would do a radio check from the station in the jungle to Boa Vista, which was 5 hours drive on a good day away from us. And we would do a radio check at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the evening, and they would last 10 minutes unless there was more to say. After that, they were turned off. You'd sort of say, we've run out of beer. Can you send some beer on the next run? Or they would tell us, we've got 2 scientists arrive and we'll be bringing them over. Can you get some rooms on the ecological station ready for them? So it was our way of communication, and it was for 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, 6 o'clock. The radios would be turned on. They were running off car batteries, and then they'd be turned off. Now, at 6:30 in the afternoon, I was photographing a rattlesnake, a cascavel, because it was Brazilian, not. Sorry, I should say cascavel. Mount Roraima cascavel, Crotalus durissus Roraima. Now, it wasn't one of the big ones I caught, because I had caught some big ones. It was one of the smaller ones, and I was doing some head photography, and I was distracted, and it bit me in the thumb. And I thought, oh dear, what's the time? 6:30 in the afternoon. So 20 minutes ago, they've turned the radio off.
Yes.
And they won't be turning it back on till 6 in the morning.
12 hours.
11 and a half hours later. So I've got to survive this rattlesnake bite on the research station in the jungle. And we had an expedition nurse. She'd never treated a snake bite before, but she was very willing to try. We had 5 packs of Instituto Butantan anti-critalico antiserum, which was good stuff, but I'm not sure if ours might have been cold chain broken. You know, our fridges didn't always work, and it did look a little bit cloudy, but we had it.
Where did you get the bite?
Somewhere on the thumb, I think. I mean, there's no mark now.
But you can move it.
Oh, yeah. I haven't lost anything yet.
Okay.
Good first aid, you see. Anyway, the nurse and I monitored my bite, and we decided to hold off giving the anti-venom until it was absolutely necessary. And so she monitored me through the first few hours, and I got localized pain and swelling in my hand and so forth. But it didn't go any further, and we're just hoping that it's going to be one of those bites that just isn't a great deal of venom. But by 3 o'clock in the morning, my arm now is swollen to beyond the elbow, and that's half the bitten limb. So that's an indicator for antivenom. So I needed the antivenom. Now, antivenom should never be given by push injection,
Yes, no.
because if you do that, once it's in, it's in. And it's a good job we didn't do that. What Sarah, the nurse, did, she put up a polyfuser drip, and she put 50 mils of normal saline, 500 mils, bag of saline, and 50 mils of antivenom into that. And she started to put a drip line in, she started the infusion. And within 30 seconds, I was having a bad reaction to the antivenom.
Oh, God.
I had lumps coming up in my mouth that were everywhere, like gum boils. My scalp was like super sensitive, really weird. It was most unpleasant. I had a number of other things, but the thing that concerned me most was I went blind. Now, not black blind.
Se volvió ciego por
Not black blind, white blind.
white blind.
Like white noise. I couldn't see a thing. Now, I don't know if this is for 10 minutes, 10 hours, or forever.
Oh my God.
And it was, to say it was disconcerting is an understatement. It was quite worrying. So, it was obvious that I was reacting badly. And so she stopped the drip. And she gave me a big dose of adrenaline. And gradually, all of the symptoms subsided and my eyesight came back. So I was more than happy about it.
After how many time?
Not very long. I mean, I must admit, I wasn't watching. Look, I don't wear a watch, so I don't know.
Couldn't
but
wear a watch.
but it was after a while. I don't know how long, but it wasn't too long a time. I wasn't blind for long. The adrenaline sorted that out, but I still had to have that antivenom. So she got to start it again, but at a slower infusion rate. And the fact that I'd had adrenaline assisted, and I didn't have any more unpleasant symptoms. So it seemed to stop the advance and so forth, and I had the 5 packs of Butantan, Instituto Butantan. And at 6 o'clock, they were on the radio immediately to tell the people in Boavista that I'd been bitten, and would they send a medevac. And that's what was getting arranged. And when we heard that the plane was arriving, I was put into, they took a mattress and they put it in the back of this old vehicle. It's a Jeg, it's like a Brazilian Jeep, rattly old, bone-shaking thing. And they put me on that, and they drove me the 2 kilometres down to the river. And at the river, there was a Mayangong Indian dugout canoe, and they put me in that, and they paddled me across the river. And then the other side, there was a Banderanchi, one of the like a Toyota Banderanchi, the small Land Cruisers, and they put me into that, and they drove me up to this fazenda some distance away, and there was an airstrip there, and this light aircraft came into land, and they'd spent a while pulling all the seats out, and they'd thrown a mattress in, and I was put into there, by which time I was starting to have a bit of a bad reaction again, not the blindness, but I got urticaria, really bad urticaria. I was itching, and I was sweating, so that made the itching worse. And I got all urticaria over my body, so I was given another dose of adrenaline, and that knocked me out, and I slept all the way to Boavista. We arrived, I got off the plane myself, and they put me into an ambulance, and they whisked me to the hospital, where I refused any further antivenom, because I'd had antivenom and I didn't need it now, and I refused anything actually, any drips. I didn't want any needles or anything. I was in hospital maybe 24 hours, much recovered, discharged, and 2 days later I was back on Ilamaracar, and all the Brazilians and the Colombians and the British and the Americans. We had a massive party, except big festa, but nobody would let me drink alcohol.
No.
So everybody enjoyed themselves, and I sat there going, I want a beer.
You were like very sad.
I can't have a beer. But that was the circumstances of that
Were horrible.
Well, it was interesting.
You were very lucky.
I probably was, yes. And I still have look. Still got them all.
Yeah, you have your 5 fingers and
toes.
thank God. So, We know that you have been in contact with also spider venoms and scorpion venom.
Yeah, I've been.
What do you prefer, or what is worse? Or
shall I tell you a thing about a bite from a snake, say a viper that's going to cause pain? When it bites you, there's that short period when you're thinking, did it inject any venom? Maybe it didn't. And then there's that deep throbbing pain that sort of grows and grows and grows until it becomes all-encompassing and is the only thing you can think about. So it takes a little time. Shall we wait until he's gone past?
yeah, there's going a truck, so he's making a lot of noise. He's gone.
He's gone. The thing about, say, a viper is when it bites you, you hope at first it hasn't injected any venom, and you're waiting to see if there's any pain, and it starts as a really, really dull throb, deep, dull throb. And it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and it becomes all enveloping. Yeah, and it becomes the only thing you can think about, because it is very painful. Now, the thing about I've discovered with scorpion stings, and I've had 3 or 4 stings from scorpions, all from buthids, which are they're the bad family. The thing about scorpion sting, as soon as that sting goes in,
You feel
it.
the pain.
You feel pain. And I was stung by a scorpion, and I had to drive, and it was stung in the hand that I was changing gear with.
Come on.
Because we drive in this. I was in Timor, East Timor, and so they drive on the same side as we do in England, so the wheel's on the right, so I'm changing gear with my left hand, and that was the hand I'd been stung in. Every time I touched the gear lever, it was painful, you know. So, but it wore off after a few hours. But the next day, I got what I can only call the Pernod effect. Do you know the Pernod effect?
No.
Well, they say if you get drunk on Pernod, you know Pernod, the liquor?
No,
It's a French liquor. They say if you get drunk on Pernod, if you drink water the next day, you'll be drunk again. I don't know if it's true.
With water?
Well, they say. I don't drink Pernod. But I call this the Pernod effect because the pain had all gone. I was fine. But if I touched anything with that hand, it was as if I'd been stung again. It all happened again. And I thought, well, this is the Pernod effect.
Okay.
But scorpions, yeah, but you see, in some people think snakes are more dangerous. But in some parts of the world, scorpions kill more people than snakes.
Yes.
North Africa, I think Durango in Mexico may have more fatalities as well from scorpions than snakes. I've heard that. I mean, you're the Mexican experts, but
Yes.
Scorpions tend to be very common.
Yes,
in a small area, you'll
here
find
in
many.
Mexico we have Michoacán, Guanajuato, Jalisco, with a lot of incidents of scorpion stings.
It's the genus Centauroides.
Yes.
Yes, and further south is Denis titius. In Brazil, there's 3 species of titius that do claim a lot of lives.
Okay.
And as for the spiders, yeah, I've had 3 or 4 spider bites. Myglomorphs.
Of which spiders?
None of no funnel webs, no phanutria, none of those fellows. No black widows, no recluses.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, some people just keep losing tissue with the recluse bites.
It's very dangerous.
Bird eaters. But there's something about having a large bird eater jump onto your hand, sink its fangs into your finger, and wrap its legs around your hand so that it's like a furry toy that's biting you. There's something about that that's a little alarming. And that's what happened with a Trinidad bird eater once. But I've had I wouldn't say any of my spider bites have been in the slightest bit serious, and I haven't done anything about them. I've caught funnel webs, Sydney funnel webs, Blue Mountain funnel webs. These are the dangerous ones in Australia. And I've caught violin spiders, brown recluses. That family's found in Africa, in the Americas. And of course, I've seen a fair few redbacks and black widows and brown widows and western widows. And of course, you've got old phanutria, the fastest spider down in Brazil. Yeah, that causes nasty bites, but I haven't had any of those. And I aim to keep it that way and not get bitten by any of those.
Okay. So thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
We are very happy to give us this interview. So if you want to tell anything else to our fans, to your fans.
Thank you very much. Stay safe. If you're bitten, don't try and hide it. Seek medical attention.
Important. Muchas gracias, amigos de Redtox. Seguimos aquí con Inspector Redtox para mucho más entrevistas. Gracias por estar con nosotros.